sky. That's the masses inside.
Welcome back to Give Me Some Truth. Nate, I've been getting a few of these recently, and that is when you get an email from somebody, and it's an unsolicited email.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, like a couple days later, they follow up, and it's almost like it's an angry
There's an
email,
obligation.
like
Yeah.
hey, you didn't get back to me. And I'm like, you just sent me an unsolicited email. I've never met you before in my life. I don't even know what country you're from,
Who you
anything
are,
you're from,
what
who
company
you're
you're
from,
with,
what company, like,
what your deal
hi,
is.
I'm from the blah, blah, blah. I'm from the building value system, and now I'm upset that you haven't gotten back to me. I'm like,
Last week,
I don't have to get back to you.
somebody said that I ghosted them.
Really?
Yeah. And it used like my full name. It was like, I just got ghosted by Nate Condon. And I'm like, I don't even know who you are. And you got out to me. What? Yeah.
Did you ghost them?
Can you indirectly ghost somebody if you don't know who they are or what their story
I don't
is?
think so.
Like, I don't know if you actually can.
Yeah.
But to your point, it's getting more aggressive in that way.
Yeah. Like,
Okay.
that doesn't make me want to get back to you, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
You know, what I have said in the past, you know, the highly effective, targeted sort of outreach is much more effective. You know, there's been a number of, like in our industry, it's wholesalers. So they'll contact you and they have certain products they want you to write, and that's okay. That's part of their job. They're part of the sales process.
Right.
And some of them are a lot better than others, but the ones that have been able to kind of get in the door, usually it's
Right.
they have some sort of commonality
Yeah.
to you.
Right.
You know, it's a reasonable shtick, I guess. You know,
Yeah.
everyone's got to try to do it.
Right.
I don't begrudge them for doing
Right.
it.
Some of them have pseudonyms, like that they operate under different names.
Really?
Yeah, for podcasts and stuff, they go under names like they use the first letter of their last name for their first name, and then that for the last name, like Clickwood and things like that.
Yeah.
That people do.
It's kind of shady.
It seems a little, you know. Samuel asked for this podcast. Actually, he wanted an update podcast.
That's right.
Just an open-ended update podcast. So we're like, okay, we can do that,
Yeah.
and hopefully keep somewhat on track of whatever track we're trying to stay on.
Yeah. I think more talking about like staffing and potential, you know, future things for our firm and how we see things. You know, I really think that we've built a great team right now, and we're super proud of the tenure that people have had. And, you know, shout out to Polly, who's done a great job training. And so we've really built, you know, it was our goal really to build this bench of people that have experience, and then they train others, and they just build this sort of wall of experience around the firm. And I think we've accomplished that. We have people that are currently training, like Evan's currently training, but he's getting caught up really quickly. Mary Jo's, she's an industry veteran, so it didn't take her very long to get up to speed. So she's really the person that keeps the expat and international team going. Polly used to kind of help the domestic team. Now Evan's sort of doing that, and Polly's doing higher level financial advisor tasks right now as well. So everyone's kind of graduating up in the firm. And then when we do that, we add more staff underneath. So, you know, I think that as we go along during the year, you'll see some new faces to continue to build that experience and build that bench as our expertise gets even better and better.
I just had this question from a prospective client last night. They asked about kind of the perceived age of our staff, right? That they looked younger, and from a positive standpoint, because their comment was that you and I likely aren't going to do this forever, and so almost kind of is that by design? And I said, yeah, that actually is. I said, we don't actively go out and say, let's just find young people. That's not it. If we found a very qualified person that was significantly older than us, we would look at that opportunity, absolutely. But it's been fortunate for the firm for a number of reasons that it has trended that way, because you're right. We've done this long enough now to recognize that if we don't think well in advance of, quote, the next generation, then where's that going to come from? And so I think we've done a good job of, and been very, very fortunate that the candidates that have come in front of us and the talented people that have come in front of us have a long future in front of them, and it wasn't that the talent that came in front of us were all people our age or older.
Yeah,
we've been very lucky in that way.
That's very true. And our industry is really tough to break into. I mean, only
Yeah.
10%.
Yeah, finding young people in this industry is really challenging.
Yeah, finding, only 10% of people actually make it in this industry. We have a much higher success rate, but I think it's because of how we have
Yeah.
built it. We added, our most recent financial advisor, aside from Polly, has been Alicia. She's been a total success story.
Yep.
And so that's been great to watch her. We're going to add some staff eventually on the international side because we want to keep, we want to keep a low number of households per advisor. That's really what we
Right.
try to do, is that we want to provide, we believe that everybody inside of our firm deserves a really good experience, and an experience where you don't have to wait 3 weeks to meet with somebody.
Yeah.
I always say you don't want it to look like your general practice doctor.
Right.
I just booked a physical.
How'd that work out?
Well, yeah, I get in August.
Mm-hmm.
So, that's 5 months. It's just like, okay, here you go. No big deal. See you in 5 months. You're like, what's
Yeah.
going on?
Mm-hmm.
That's awful. As far as like, if you actually had anything going on in the medical field, I know they'll find a way to solve it. If my kneecap was falling off, they'd put it back together in an
Right.
emergency situation. But doing anything between things,
Yeah, right.
that's not total triage.
Especially when
just,
it's designed to be preventative. You're
Yes.
like, how is it preventative? If
there's
I
no
have
way
to,
we can do preventative stuff right now. I mean, it's just,
Yeah.
you can go in and get a lab done. But that's,
Right.
doing truly preventative medicine is very difficult now because we just don't have a capacity. And so, if we kind of extrapolate that to what people experience at Walkner Condon, we want them to have a situation where they have a nice experience that feels customized and tailored to their own personal situation.
Yeah, let's unpack that just briefly. So, when you and I were in our former lives at our former place of employment, we had well over 1,000 households between the two of us, and that's no knock at all by any means to our former place where we worked. They serve a ton of people that have to. That's kind of the structure that they have. But we've seen that side of the world, and we just wanted to build it in a different way, and that in conjunction with some work with a very, very accomplished and successful business coach in this area has helped us to understand what specific benchmarks and data points should we be looking at. And you touched on one earlier, which was exactly correct, was households per advisor, households per full-time staff, and then even just kind of administrative staff per advisor, administrative staff per partner. And so we look at all of these measurements to understand where we're at. And to your point, we're short-staffed right now, and we know that. And so we will definitely be adding more people here in the next 12 to 18 months.
Yeah. And I wouldn't say we're glaringly short-staffed, but we are short-staffed to the point where, I think we're out of being in our, like, what are we, 11th year?
13th year.
13th
in our
year.
13th year.
13th year. Who's counting? I just shot out the other day. I was like, how many years of experience do I have in this industry? And I'm like, well, wait a second. Let's
21?
see.
No, you're more than that.
So I was
23?
registered in 2001.
So yeah.
So I'm entering my 23rd year.
No,
of
see, but
doing
that's not
this,
even right.
like-
It's 24th year because you were in the business in 2001.
True.
So you
Yeah.
had that year. So you're actually
I'm on year 24.
right. See, that's
Yeah.
why that we established the firm in 2012, right? But we were in business all of 2012. So 2012 through 2024 is that's why we're in our 13th year.
We get into this. We're out of startup phase. Obviously,
Yeah.
we're in a nice mature business, and
Right.
and I think that for a long time, and we had to for a long time, you just run with a super lean staff that's just
Yeah.
really good, and then you start to build more infrastructure as you go along, and realize that if you're a little overstaffed at certain periods of time, it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. And so we're a little short-staffed. I
Right,
don't know
and-
if we're ever going to be overstaffed, but
Right.
I think we get up to a more normalized.
And I think
staffing
growth
level.
demands that, which
Yes.
is what's is the great problem to have if you want to think about it that way, right? If we're lean right now, it's not lean because 4 staff members left yesterday. We're lean, relatively speaking, because the growth of the number of households and just the complexity of the households has demanded a bigger staff. That's a great problem to have. That's a tremendous. It's a call out to all of our existing clients to say thank you, because they're the reason why we need to hire more staff at this point, because they've stayed with us and we have low, client turnover. And so as a result, we're at 650 households. Is that about right? Am I somewhere in that neighborhood? I mean, that wasn't anywhere close to that number even a year and a half, 2 years ago. And so I think we've grown into these staffing challenges, which is fantastic. I mean, if you talk about a problem that you'd want to have, that's a great problem to have.
Yeah, and I think that growing this other international side of our business, which we never would have anticipated when we started the firm, 12 plus years ago, it's a situation where those people require a little bit more touches because there's more complexities in opening accounts. There's a little more tax complexity over there. There's currency conversion. It just requires more hands to touch it. So the advisors have a smaller number of clients under them, whereas you and I have a few more clients under us just because there's less of that. We can take on more appointments, and to get somebody in person is a little easier sometimes as well. So
and I think
we have a few challenges that they don't have, and vice versa. But I would say that they require a little bit more staff.
And we've always leaned on the aspect of team, right? We think that team is I don't know if you want to call it the secret sauce, if you will, but it's definitely been a hallmark of Walkner Condon. It's a benchmark of our firm, is the idea of teamwork. And so I think we've understood over the last couple of years that the more we lean into that, you and I have always been successful with that. Fortunately, we found a great team by putting Mitch and Alicia together, right? Polly is part of our team. Mitch and Alicia will add more people to their team, and this kind of team aspect it seems really, really positive, and it doesn't seem like there's a lot of negatives. In the international squad, they work as a team amongst themselves, even though they're individual advisors. I mean, they're doing team-related things all the time, whether it's bending each other's ears on questions or whether it's going together on a certain case where one has expertise in one country and one has expertise in another country, or whatever the case may be. That team aspect is it's been invaluable to the firm.
Agreed. Yeah. And I think one of the things too that I think surprises people that may have been clients that see it now, the people that are coming in as new clients, they do face an investment minimum that we never really had before, and we have to we've instituted and had to stay a little closer to those minimums. And the reason is simply that we want to serve households and be able to provide a really good experience for them. And because it's more customized and because it's more complex in many cases, you really do have to institute a minimum. And so, we haven't kicked a whole bunch of people out of the firm or anything like that if they don't meet the minimum now or anything like that. But we are a little bit more selective in who we take on as clients, and that is by design, and that's not going to change. And if anything, it's going to increase, and it's simply because we have limited resources. Even when we do staff up, you have limited resources, and you can't be all things to all people. We want to be all things to a small group of people, and we want to make sure that our advisors are able to provide that great service. And so there are certain revenue levels we have to maintain. There's certain service levels we have to maintain. There's all kinds of complexities in that, and that's why we've been more intentional in that. We're not trying to exclude people, but we kind of have to exclude people in some cases.
Yeah, I mean, it simply comes down to the idea that we've made commitments to that, call it roughly 650 households. We've made commitments to those clients, and if that 650 next year turned into 1,200, we can't keep those same commitments to those 650 people, and that's not okay. Right. We've looked at it and said we've made commitments to our clients by way of, to your point, service levels, by way of turnaround time, by way of when they can get an appointment, that kind of thing. And as I think many people listening to this podcast understand, finding quality people is very challenging. And so if we could just go out and hire 6 more quality people tomorrow, we would. But those 6 people don't just knock on your door, and it's very challenging to find the next quality person, let alone 6 more quality people. And so the idea of just we'll hire more people there where you can serve more clients, yes, in theory, but it just doesn't move that fast because you have to find the people, which is very difficult, first of all. Second of all, you have to go through a little bit of a honeymoon phase to determine whether they actually are the right fit for the firm. And that takes a year or so just to understand that in and of itself. And then you ramp them up into the point where they can start seeing clients and we can actually start to provide more capacity. It's not something that happens quickly.
Yeah, I mean, you either have to train them up. You have to train them up regardless, but
Right.
if they start with no experience, that's a really long path. If they have some experience, it's good. It's preferable. If they have a lot of experience, it might actually be the other way. Whereas you think they can go in and just hit the ground running and see people, which they can, but then you have to deprogram them from wherever they were at. And that's a challenge. First of all, financial advisors that move, that move doesn't happen very frequently.
Right.
It might be a couple times in their career where they're moving.
Right.
If they're moving way more than that, then you should be worried about actually, are they actually going to stick around? And that's what we want. We want people to stick around. And if somebody is moving to you, just, okay, where did they come from and what bad habits?
And why
did
are they moving?
develop, and why are they moving? And,
Right.
hey, financial advisors tend to have fairly high type A personalities and high egos. So you've got to make sure that they also fit into your situation. And we don't have a super high ego culture. So, it's a situation where you've got to be able to fit in here too. So,
well, that's the blessing and the curse, right?
Exactly.
Like you can get experience, but then you have to deprogram. And they've been successful with how they've done things. So if that doesn't perfectly match how we do it, then okay, how does that fit? Or you take unexperienced, right, moldable, right, clay, and you mold them the way you want, but then it takes a while for them to get experience.
Exactly.
It's that push-pull of, what you hire.
You got to water it and it's got to grow up, and it just takes time to do that.
Right.
Yeah.
Let's switch gears a little bit. You've been heading this up, an exciting new part of 2024, a new website.
That's right. Yeah, we're in the design phase. So Samuel and I are working on that part of it, and we're hiring an outside firm to assist us on that too. And we're excited about it. Our goals really are to make things a little cleaner, easy to access, multi-platform as we always have been. One of the things that we did do is, we used to have our site was built on a WordPress theme. And so one of the things that Samuel and I identified, and the outside firm did as well, is page load times when you do that. When you use a sort of theme, page load times take a while sometimes for these pages to load. And what we wanted to do was strip it down and build it all from the ground up. That will improve page load speeds. That'll improve just functionality on the site. And then we definitely want to present our content in a very clear way and easy way for people to find, and then also being able to go to your client logins and the things that you're used to. So we want to be able to tell our story. It's obviously for prospective clients. We want to make that an easy place for them to find out what we do well and all of the services that we offer. And for our existing clients, we want them to be able to get to the places that they're used to getting to, their client logins and our educational materials, which they like to consume. Those are things that we want them to be able to get to quickly and easily. So,
and just clean up a little bit.
And just clean up. And we want to, we want the two sites. Yeah. We have the two sites, the expat site and our site, kind of the main site that also directs you to the expat stuff. We want all of that to have continuity, to look similar, to have similar messaging. So that's our big initiative for 2024. We're hoping to have that completed by the end of first half of the year here and roll out to everybody. I saw the second mock-up. Second mock-up looks good, looks cleaner. It's along the lines of what we want to try to accomplish. So we're looking forward to that. I think it's going to turn out great. Samuel's got a lot of video ahead of him to edit, so that will be good. And we're trying to tell our story through pictures and through video, and just be ourselves. Yeah. It's very difficult to tell the whole. I was doing a lot of the writing, and it is so hard to say what Comfortably Unique is just on a web page. So we're trying to be able to do that and tell that story as well as we can.
I think we're trying to incorporate a little bit of the history too. I think we've been around long enough now where we can do that, and kind of show the growth of the firm. And so I think we're pretty excited about some of the aspects. It's gonna be fun.
Yeah, it's really become beyond us now. You know, we are really growing groups of people that are going to live the Walkner Condon way, that do live the Walkner Condon way every day. And, you know, they're extremely talented. You know, we've really, our mantra was always to hire people that are smarter and more accomplished than we are, or what we perceive them
Basically
to be.
have.
Oh, dude, look at the staff. I mean, like, the staff is, staff's incredible. They're incredibly, like, we have experience. I mean, there's very little that you and I haven't seen.
Right.
You know, I think that we understand investing well. I think we understand financial planning well. I think we do a great job with our existing clients. But if you're looking for people that have credentials and have, you know, educational backgrounds that are beyond ours, I mean, there are plenty of people in our organization that have a lot more than we have.
It's cool to see.
It is cool to see.
I don't know if there's much more from a technology standpoint this year. I don't think we're changing systems or doing much different as far as that's concerned.
No, we're very satisfied. You know, people, we throw around the word advise on sometimes, and sometimes we use Walkner Condon Client Portal. You know, they are the background bone of what we do, and they do a great job, and they're consistently changing to meet our needs. So we have a really complex workflow-based process behind the scenes, and what we hope is that the clients never feel like they're going through like just a static process, but we're taking them through the process the whole way so that we never drop anything.
Yeah.
So when people say that we're reliable, we know that like we're going and executing to exactly what they need and communicating well. Those are all workflow related steps that we've designed in the background so that nothing falls through the cracks. So that's super important to us, is this workflow process. So that's been developed over years.
Yeah.
And, you know, thanks to others for helping out with this. Like, you know, Mary Jo and Polly are always like on these workflow steps. Evan is a total workflow guy. I'm really excited about that. And then, you know, our teams, Mitch and Alicia, you know, are integral in like designing workflows and helping us, you know, with the steps of that too. And then the international team has their, you know, very customized workflow steps too with the way their business sets up. So we all have assimilated this workflow-based practice, and it works great.
Yeah. Yeah.
So technology-wise, it's kind of more of the same. Also, we have more status quo because TD Ameritrade and Schwab have come together.
Yeah.
And so I think we're going to see some improvements out of Schwab.
Yeah, and I think it's good too. I mean, thanks to all the clients for understanding that, you know, you get 2 1099s last year. You know, there's a little bit of a you know, more cumbersome tax year because of that, and some of the things that were going on. Obviously, that's not going to happen moving forward. It'll be cleaner moving forward and that kind of thing. And so, I think we're going to be happier with Schwab moving forward because the transition will be a thing of the past, and it'll be simply just, you know, their ability to kind of improve, you know, ongoing, not just cleaning up some of the things that were left over from the transition, but then also just, you know, pure improvements that they're able to make. So I think we're pretty excited to see what they're able to do.
Yeah, they cut down the trade time that it required to settle a trade. We're going to what's called T+1 right around the corner, meaning that when we make a trade, it takes 1 day for that position to kind of settle out, and then we can send the cash out.
Yep.
It was a little different with TD Ameritrade, the way that they were able to send cash out kind of more immediately.
Yep.
That is not a Schwab process. So it used to be T+2, which was kind of delaying when we could send out funds. So this should be a little more seamless and integrated, and should be able to get money out to people a little bit faster. And their digital tools are actually quite strong. So we're looking forward to, you know, working with them even closer in the future here. So I'm pretty bullish on Schwab's future. I think that they're one of the best brokerage firms out there, and, you know, eventually maybe we add another custodian. But at this point, I think they do a good job.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much what we got going.
These are
right?
updates.
That's
2024 updates
right?
so far. Yeah. So,
Point.
you know, hey, thanks for sticking with us and, you know, being part of the journey with us. Anybody that's listening, anybody that is a client, you know, thank you for being along with the journey. We welcome your feedback.
Yeah,
you know,
sure.
hopefully clients, we haven't done a survey in a while. Maybe we'll do a survey this year, but, you know, the clients seem like the feedback's been really positive. And usually we hear when something's off or we're not getting back to people in a timely manner. And I feel like that's really good right now.
Yeah.
So if it's not, you should let us know.
Yeah.
And if it is, drop us a line and let us know, hey, I think the systems are looking good and we're doing what's right for everybody, and I feel like I'm really taken care of from that perspective.
Yeah.
So if you have some feedback, please share it with us, and thanks for joining us on another episode of Give Me Some Truth.
Walkner Condon Financial Advisors is a registered investment advisor with the SEC. Registration with the SEC does not imply a certain level of skill or training. The opinions expressed by the participants of this podcast are their own and do not reflect the opinions of Walkner Condon Financial Advisors. All statements and opinions expressed are based upon information considered reliable, although it should not be relied upon as such. Any statements or opinions are subject to change without notice. Information presented is for educational purposes only and does not intend to make an offer or solicitation for the sale or purchase of any specific securities, investments, or investment strategies. Investments involve risk and, unless otherwise stated, are not guaranteed. Information expressed does not take into account your specific situation or objectives and is not intended as recommendations appropriate for any individual. Viewers are encouraged to seek advice from a qualified tax, legal, or investment advisor to determine whether any information presented may be suitable for their specific situation. Past performance is not indicative of future performance.
You gotta leave your money behind you. Raise your hand to the sky. Ask the masses for silence.